and welcome back to another Fashion Show. I'm JMJ Bookstore, and today we're doing another author wrap-up. If you guys don't know how this video works, essentially I'm going to be talking about a central author in it, and we are going to go through their entire backlog and read their newest one together. I will have clips of old me talking about the books when I read them. Most of the time these authors are authors that I read a year or longer ago. Some of these are like 5 or 6 years ago, and so I do have wrap-ups of all the videos, like all the books, because I probably won't be able to tell you my exact thoughts and opinions as if I just read them. So that's how it works. Before we get into this video though and talk about the amazing work of Taylor Adams today, we are going to jump into a Jacob from with the books I've written in case you want to buy any. Do a little self promo. Hi, how you guys doing? How's that Jacob? Is he doing good? I hope so. That being said, let's talk about Gunshot Residue. Starts off this trilogy. We have P49, which is the second book in this trilogy, and we also have Mr. St. James, which is the final book in this trilogy. All 3 books are available on Kindle Unlimited. All 3 books are wide, so you can buy them anywhere if you don't believe in Amazon. However, the ebook is exclusive to Amazon. I will read you the log lines for all 3. However, we'll go into a little bit more detail what the first one's about, because you have to read this one to be able to read these ones, you know what I mean? But let's first go through the log lines. Log lines are simply just like the top part right here. I'm not going to read you any of this, just this. So the first one is your husband's secrets enough to shatter your world, which I feel like is a pretty good theme for the book. The second one, which is this one, is what are you really capable of? And then the third one, which is this one, is how far are the bounds of love? Essentially, this follows an already married couple, Alex and DeMarcus. They are currently going through some marital problems at the beginning of this book. They've been together for 5 years, and Alex strongly believes that his husband is cheating on him. He just has this feeling. There's other people in his life that are kind of instigating him towards this realization as well, and so he takes it upon himself to figure out if his husband's actually cheating on him or not. And he actually learns that there's a bigger conspiracy mystery going on that overspans 3 different books that has to do with his husband. Once again, they are already married. These are spicy romantic suspense novellas. They're very short and they're very fast paced, so you can read them very quickly. That's all I got for you. I love them, but I wrote them, so I'm biased. That being said, jump back to a Jacob in whatever video you're watching. Alrighty, hi, I'm doing great, by the way, old Jacob. I hope you're doing good too. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into this. We are talking about Taylor Adams. Taylor Adams has been writing and publishing since 2014, over 12 years ago, and I have been reading his work since 2019, like 7 or 8 years ago. Wowed me so much when I read that book for the first time. The first book I ever read of his was No Exit, and it changed everything, and I just wanted to pick up every book he's ever written because of it. We'll talk about all of them today. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. I'm a big fan of this author. I think for the most part he knows what he's doing. The majority of these books are also thriller suspense novels, so when looking at them, in case you're interested in any of them. That being said, we are going to go from his first to his newest release as how I do things here. So we're going to start with eyeshot, which was his first release, which is this book. I am going to take you to a Jacob in the past who read this to have a little bit of understanding of what the book's about, and we'll come back in and we'll reflect. Eyeshot by Taylor Adams, one of the few Taylor Adams I have never read. I think there's a lot of growth here, but this being his debut, was a 3.25. This being his debut, I thought it was okay. eyeshot follows a family, a husband and wife, traveling across country for a reason, and their car ends up breaking down in the middle of the road in the desert. They realize there's another car in front of them and a car behind them, and it follows their experience with a sniper who's shooting at them. Like I said, it was intense. It did exactly what it was going to do, but to be fair, for eyeshot in particular, it was very much a debut. And it felt that way. So I landed on a 3.25, and this is, like I talked about in the wrap-up, probably a man who has a bunch of people cornered on the side of the road with a sniper, and we're from the perspective of the sniper and also the victims that are being killed off. And I feel like as a suspense book, it was really, really well done. I feel like Taylor Adams knew exactly what he was doing with it, and I can understand why he gained a following based off this single novel. Honestly, like, I really enjoyed myself with eyeshot. I just didn't have, like, it wasn't as amazing as everything else, and so my expectations for it were so high when I did read it. The next book of his that came out was Our Last Night, which I just read recently, so let's go ahead and jump over to a different Jacob to tell you a little bit about it as well. Our Last Night by Taylor Adams. Our Last Night follows this man. He just recently lost his wife. I want to say his wife. It could be his girlfriend. No, I want to say he recently just lost his life in a freak accident on New Year's, and he is going through something troubling. Him and his best friend own this company where they go through haunted mansions, but he does not believe in ghosts whatsoever. He is a person who does not think ghosts are real and does not like ghosts. And so he ends up buying a haunted gun that anybody who buys this gun, who owns this gun for 24 hours, ends up killing themselves with the gun. That's the whole point of it. And there's lots of stories about it. And we're following him as he ends up going through a haunting with this gun and going backwards through time. Me going R1 last night is actually an indicator of like what the whole book's about. I thought this was gonna be like a haunted house story, and this was just like not a haunted house story, like at all. And I didn't really like it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I really didn't like it. I wanted to like it, and I did not. I did not care for it. I gave it a 2.5. It's probably like a 2.25. I just think Taylor Adams has done better. This is one of his earliest releases. So like I said in that video, I landed on a 2.5. I do believe this is my lowest rated and probably my least favorite Taylor Adams that I have read. There's just something about it that I just didn't. There's nothing wrong with going outside your genre, going outside of the things that people have known or used to, but I was expecting something really intense and very suspenseful, and I got that, but it wasn't what I wanted. No, that's not even the right way to phrase it, is it? I did get what was kind of promised. This is a horror, mystery, science fiction, which I'm used to him writing like suspense thrillers, and this is very different from that. Like we talked about, it's about a gun and possession, but it's also about time travel, so it just didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. I think the idea behind it was really nice though. And then next is the book I started with. Taylor Adams is the next book we're going to talk about, which is No Exit. I witch jumped to a Jacob from 2019 to tell you about my first experience reading No Exit. And that is a book that I literally have a whole vlog about, so I'll obviously send you over there as well. And that is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I don't really know what to tell you about this, except it's about a girl named Darby who has to pull over to a rest stop going back to her hometown, and she finds a girl in a van, and really, really crazy stuff happens. It's intense. It's beautiful. I was going to read it for Halloween again, but I just said there's not enough time in between. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite books I read this year, and it's a 5-star thriller. I don't give thrillers 5 stars. You're going to see here I'm very, very picky. I get really close, but not a full official 5 stars. And there really isn't much I can tell you about this because of the fact that, you know, it's just one of those stories that you just have to go in kind of blind and just know that's very twisty. I also want to just mention it here for anybody who does like trigger warnings. This does have graphic violence in it. It's not until like the last like 100 or so pages. And then also the kidnapping stuff can get pretty gross. There's no like molestation or anything in it, and people could find that a spoiler, but I just want to let you know ahead of time. Just know that there is graphic violence and the kidnapping stuff could be kind of crazy. It's also super duper intense, and it's, like I said, one of the best thrillers I think I've read this year, if not in a very long time. I do have a contender, but it didn't get 5 stars, so, you know, think about that. Also, I can't wait to read more Taylor Adams. I'm waiting some time in between because his debut novel, which is what I'm going to read next, is kind of similar to this one. It's different, but it's very similar in the small locations and stuff. Beautiful, beautiful book. Yeah, my sentiments probably don't stay the same as they did in 2019 when I read this for the first time, and it blew my absolute brain. There is nothing like shocking I would say about this book. The content in it is very graphic, but it's a very visceral read. However, it's very like straightforward and on the nose of the type of story that it is. And I do think if I would have read it today, I would have probably gave it like a 4 or 4.5 or something. So I still think I'd be on the Taylor Adams journey that I went on, but I don't know if I would have been as committed to wanting to find another one just like it, because I don't even know if it is the 5 that I think it is. That being said, I absolutely love Darby as a character, and I love the story that they put her in, and everything about this worked. The snowy setting, the characters, the isolationist of it all, the violence, everything about it worked for me personally. Yeah, I don't know. I think these are books that like a lot of people just like want to write and achieve to write, and that's how beautiful it is. So did a phenomenal job. I stand by my 5. Even if I don't think a reread would give me a 5. I don't know. Should I reread it? Let me know in the comments down below. Then he took a bit of time off. He had his biggest release, which was No Exit. I feel like everybody read this when it came out. It was everywhere. And then like I said, he took some time off in 2017. It got more traction as time went on. And then he released his next book, which was Hairpin Bridge, which we're going to jump back to a Jacob from, I think, 2021 when it came out, when I buddy read it with my sister. Hairpin Bridge by Taylor Adams. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed this one. It's not as good as No Exit, I would say, but it was still very much enjoyable. And I liked it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say. So when we read this together, we had both liked No Exit quite a bit. She doesn't write things, but she enjoyed it. She talked about it very fondly, and so we decided to pick up the newest Sarah Adams. I was already planning on reading it for a video. I can't remember if it was a 5-star prediction or something along those lines, but I had plans. And so she was like, oh, can we jump on that? And I was like, please do. I'd love to buddy read with you. And I landed on a 4. This is the one, if I'm not mistaken, that is about the 2 sisters. One sister goes missing and we're following the other sister as she's trying to figure out what's going on. And everything has to do with this hairpin bridge. And I just thought it was fine. Like, the more I think about it, the more I didn't really care for it. And I feel like maybe it's probably less. I have a feeling maybe the whole book was like a 3.75 and then the ending like push it up to a 4. I don't remember how Jacob in the past felt, to be honest with you. I don't watch those clips until I like edit them together. So I don't know. That's Hairpin Bridge. Let me know. Is this one of your favorite Tara Adams? Have you read this before? Now that you have an idea of what it's about or even know that it existed, are you interested in reading it? Because I'm not sure if I would be as interested in it. And then next we have The Last Word, which I think came out in 2023, if I'm not mistaken. This was, if I'm also not mistaken, a 5-star prediction, and it was in my 23 and 23 wrap up as well. And so I have talked about the story quite a bit on the channel. This is about a author who I'm pretty sure is in so after posting a negative book review, a woman living in a remote location begins to wonder if the author is a little touchy or very dangerous. In this pulse-pounding novel of psychological suspense and terror from the critically acclaimed author of No Exit and Hairpin Bridge. I guess Hairpin Bridge did pretty well. The woman lives alone. By the way, what's how Jacob from the past explained to you what the full plot's about and his thoughts and opinions and feelings. Then I read The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This is for a video coming up this month where I read 2 5-star predictions. I started to combine the 5-star prediction. This one follows a review critic who ends up giving a 1-star review to this, I guess, what I would call an extreme horror novel from an author. And now she believes she's being hunted by said author. The audiobook is phenomenal. I could not recommend it enough. Like, it's one of the best audiobooks I've read this year. Of one particular thing, I don't want to give it away. I've seen other reviews and stuff of people who have read this who have given it away. And it happened so early on in the story that I wouldn't count it as a spoiler. I personally found it so shocking that it happened. I don't want to give it away. There's a really cool, like, early beginning twist. I laughed out loud while reading this. I had a blast. This is just like your fun, run-of-the-mill, like, summer thriller, high-octane thriller. I felt like the ending jumped the sharky, in my opinion. It feels very Taylor Adams, though, in his defense. It reminded me a lot of some of the newer Riley Sagars, if you guys understand what I mean by that. I much prefer this over Riley Sagar. Okay, like I said, I gave it a 4.25. I have very fond memories of this book. I have a lot of funness. I remember where I was when I read it. I mean, that's pretty spectacular. I also read it in a single sitting. I do remember that, which not a lot of books do, but Taylor Adams books do tend to do that. I do typically read them in 1 or 2 sittings, which I just adore. That means it's a must-buy author for me personally. That is The Last Word. I think this is probably like one of my favorites of his. I think it was. And then that brings us to his newest release, which is Her Last Breath. This just came out in March, I want to say. Maybe it was February 17th. And I have already read it. And so we're going to jump to a Jacob in the past who is reading it currently and telling you about it and telling you about experience and what I landed on. And then we'll come back in and wrap up this video. So this is for Taylor Adams' newest work. I don't remember exactly what it's called. I'll put it right here though. Her Last Breath or something are those lines. For the Taylor Adams vlog, we're going to talk about this. If I think spoilers are necessary, we will mention them, but if not, then I won't care too much about it. This follows a woman who has extreme OCD, agoraphobia, and she ends up going on a trip with her best friend to show her best friend that she is more than this illness, more than what she conceives to be. And so she decides to go, and her best friend is an extreme sportist. She has a whole like career based around it. And so she takes her to a cave, and inside this cave we learn pretty early on that she is a sole survivor from an incident that happens. Her best friend does not end up making it, and it's about her journey, their journey into the cave, the people around them in the cave. Then also it's about her survival and also what's going on. Like, what's the real purpose behind this? Because as the story progresses, obviously more and more threads are being weaved, and I'm not sure how much I like all the threads that are being weaved. I think some of them are kind of predictable and a little bit like, I feel like Taylor Adams could do a little better, but having just read a Taylor Adams not that long ago, this is significantly better writing. I did like The Last Word, which I think was the last release from him. I didn't really care for Hairpin Bridge, which was the one before it. No Exit is still by far my favorite. However, I don't even know if No Exit would get a 5-star and today's standards. To leave you here, I'll come back in probably when I finish it, or if I have any spoiler like direct thoughts in the moment, if I can update eat. I love to eat. Let's go ahead and close out this video for Her Last Breath by Tara Adams. I finished this a minute ago. I thought I filmed something for you, and I guess I did not. I really liked the ending of it. I really liked how it all came together. I felt like it was really well paced, and it kept me on my toes. And even though I saw 2 or 3 of the twists coming, I didn't see every twist coming, and I felt like it ended very satisfyingly. And I think this is a very good thriller to recommend people. Why am I not giving it a 5? I don't know. There's a part of it that's just like a little annoying, but I had a good enough time with it, to be honest. And I do think there is enough clues there to piece the whole thing together so you can play along just as fun, which is great. I love books that can do that. So I'm giving it a 4.5. It's not my favorite Tara Adams. However, it's a really highly rated Tara Adams in this series, or in this video. I'm happy we went out with a bang and a win. All right, let's go ahead and jump Jacob to the outro for this video. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Okay, so I landed on a 4.5. There are parts of the middle of this that I didn't really care for, which is why I didn't get a 5 out of 5, but it just kept building and building, and the rating kept building and building. I had such a good time with it. I would highly recommend it. Great ending of this video, I'm not gonna lie. Because I was a little nervous. If I didn't like it, then I was gonna end on a bad note. If I loved it and it was a 5-star, then it's like, oh my god. I will continue to read from this author. 4 stars are applicable. Also because I just read my least favorite not that long before I read the newest one. I think that also played like a teeter-totter of a factor for this video to come out. That being said, I'll tell you next time. Thanks for watching. Let me know, have you ever read anything from Tara Adams? And if so, which one is your favorite and why? And I'll talk to you guys all very, very soon.